Alright, so now we're going to talk about naming ionic compounds when we're going from formula to name. So this is learning target 4.3. So we have 3 steps when we are naming ionic bonds. First step is to name the cation, which is that positive charge. Our next step is to give that cation a Roman numeral if it's a transition metal. Now we learned how to figure out if it was a transition metal 2 units ago when we did periodic classifications of the periodic table. Then we have step 3, which is name the anion and change the ending to IDE. So when we're naming the cation of NaCl, our cation is just sodium. Na stands for sodium, so it's sodium. Then we have to figure out if the cation is a Roman numeral, and it is not, so this doesn't matter. Then we have to name the anion, which in this case is chlorine, and change the ending to IDE, so it's going to be chloride. So in the end, we have sodium, not a transition metal. Sodium chloride is our official ionic name. Alright, now for this one, we're going to name the cation, which is magnesium. Then we can look on the periodic table and see magnesium is not a transition metal, so this doesn't matter. Then we have our ending again, which is the same as the previous slide, just going to be chloride. So for our answer, we have magnesium chloride. All right, for this one, now we're going to name the cation, as always, chromium. Then this one actually is a transition metal. The Roman numeral that we give is the charge of that metal. So our charge in this case, we're looking at chromium and chlorine. We know that chlorine is a -1. So this chlorine has to be a +3. So this is going to be chromium 3. Then again, we have to change our anion ending to IDE. We have chlorine. So this is going to be, again, chloride. So now for this one, go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. Alright, so our cation name is going to be chromium. And when we're looking at this, we have our chromium and our chlorine. We know that chlorine is -1, so our chromium has to be a +2 because we have 2 chlorines, so it has to be a 2 to balance out those charges. So my Roman numeral is going to be 2 plus chloride. So our name is going to be chromium 2 chloride. Now, something to note is we now are dealing with polyatomics as well. So our polyatomic in this case is this guy right here. So we're still going to name it the same way, except for you can see step 3 changes, and we do not change the ending when we're dealing with the polyatomic. So for naming the cation, we have sodium. It's not a Roman numeral, or it's not a transition metal, so we don't need a Roman numeral. And then we just name our anion. In this case, this one is nitrate. So this is simply just sodium nitrate. Alright, so we'll try one more. Let's go ahead, we'll do this together and name our cation. This one is chromium, like we dealt with in the past. Now, chromium is a transition metal, so we do need a Roman numeral associated. Now, our nitrate is NO3 -1, because those polyatomic charges don't change. And we see that we have 3 of them. So that means that we're going to need a chromium +3 and 3 nitrates to balance that out. So My Roman numeral is a 3. Nitrate is my anion, and I don't change the ending because it's a polyatomic. And that is all we got. Go ahead and write down any questions you may have. We will get a lot of practice with this at school tomorrow. Have a great night.